What is up, YouTube? Dottz Gaming here with my biggest guide to date, which is a comprehensive guide for beginners to the Elder Scrolls Online. So, looking through YouTube and the internet, I have yet to find a single video or single playlist that covers everything, literally everything you need to know to get started in Tamriel, and just things that you wish you knew from the beginning of the game. So I've compiled all of the tips I've gotten from members of my guild and research on the internet, all of the videos I watched, into one big video. So as you can see, this is the table of contents and all of the stuff I'm going to go over. So if you want to just know about a specific thing, just fast forward to that point in the video. So this guide will be your one-stop, know-all resource about all things ESO, from a beginner's standpoint, and everything you need to know to get started. So if you're a veteran in Elder Scrolls, this video probably is not going to help you because you probably know all of this stuff already. This is for your new player that's never played the game before. So let's get started and dive right into it. Elder Scrolls Online runs off a buy-to-play model. So you just choose Xbox One, PS4, or PC, you buy your copy of the game, and boom, you have full access to everything. They do not limit you in any which way or form. Once you buy the game, it is completely yours. So one point of note is downloadable content and an ESO Plus membership. So here we can see our DLC. I can get Imperial City or Asinium, which are the only two DLC out, for either 2,500 crowns or 3,000 crowns. Or I can be an ESO Plus member and I'll have access to both. In ESO Plus, it's a subscription fee. I think it's kind of similar to WoW. It's I think $12 to $15 a month, depending on how many months you buy. And all that giving a membership does is it gives you a certain amount of crowns per month. It allows you to, again, have access to all of the DLC without having to buy it specifically, and you also get certain buffs on like non-consequential stuff, stuff that has to do with gold, experience gain, nothing that's going to give you like a severe edge over your opponent, because this is not a pay-to-win game, which is why I really like the model. I currently am not an ESO Plus member, but it does have its benefits if you want to level up really quick and have access to all the content without having to buy it individually. So, the Elder Scrolls Online is a tri-faction game. There are 3 factions in the game with one neutral race that can join any faction it wants. You can also buy the Adventurers Pack through the Crown Store and be any race on any alliance if you want. But if you don't want to spend your money on that, and I didn't, you can, you have 3 races per faction. So we start with the Daggerfall Covenant, and we have a choice between the Bretons, the Orcs, or Redguard, the Aldemary Dominion, which is what I play on. We have the High Elves, the Wood Elves, and the Khajiit. And then on the Ebonheart Pact, we have Argonians, Dark Elves, and we have Nords. Now, since one of the main points of this game is that Cyrodiil, aka where the Imperials live, is in complete disarray, if you play an Imperial, which you need to buy the Imperial edition of the game to get, I did that, you can pick whichever faction you want. So as you see, I can change the faction without my race changing. So the next point I want to talk about is character creation. So you pick your faction and you pick your race. So let's say we want to create a Wood Elf, okay? So you choose male or female. So let's say we want to go with female. We go to our class. Now, classes are very, very loose in Elder Scrolls. You can do any role on any class. So you could be a Dragon Knight healer if you really, really wanted to be, because there are skill lines for your class abilities, and there are skills for weapon abilities. I will come more into that later in the video. But obviously, you're going to have, the classes are going to have a certain impact on what you can do and what you're better at. So, obviously a class like a Nightblade is going to be much more proficient at stealth than, let's say, the Dragon Knight. The Dragon Knight's going to be normally more tanky than a Nightblade. But again, they're very, very loose combinations. I honestly recommend, for PvP, for PvE, you can honestly do whatever class you want. It doesn't really matter. Pick what appeals to you. So a Dragon Knight is basically, picture like a warrior, but with dragon scales and flames and fire and horns and shit. It's pretty freaking badass. Then you have your Templar, which is, picture it's like a paladin. But Templars can be also like priests or stuff like that. It's your holy warrior. Then you have your sorcerer, which is a mage, warlock, shaman, all of that type of shit thrown into one guy. You can summon pets, you have lightning magic, fire magic, all this good stuff. And then me, I have Nightblade, which is what I play, and you have your shadow skill line, which has to deal with stealth and subterfuge. You have your assassination, which deals with like attacks and stuff, and you have your siphoning, which deals with stealing your enemy's life force. Now, again, you can come in here, customize the body type. You can choose if you want to look at what you would look like in veteran gear, or if you want to customize the body, you can go no gear, and then you can, customize this. You got skin color. If we go to no gear, you can add body markings. Let's go like a tattoo or something. So there's a lot of customization that you can do. So you get into the face and do all this. My bad. So change your face if you want to have a completely square jaw. Another cool thing is you can edit your voice, so you can pick what kind of voice you want. So the customization is really, really good, and honestly, no two characters are the same. It's really, really nice. And then you enter your character's name, and then you enter the tutorial area. Now, I'm not gonna go over the tutorial area because it's pretty self-explanatory, and I recommend you go through the tutorial area. Don't just skip it. Go through it. Take your time. Learn some of the basics. And now let's move on to the next part. So as you see here, this is the UI of the Elder Scrolls Online. So this is just the menus, and the first thing at the top, you'll see all of the different options, but I'll go from left to right. So we have the Crown Store. The Crown Store is where you can buy stuff with real money. It's all purely cosmetic, and you don't technically need any of it to play the game. You can play at the highest levels of the game, against people who spend ridiculous amounts of money in the Crown Store. It's not necessary to get. Then you have your inventory, where it shows all of your stats, your gear slots. You have all of your stuff in your bags. My bags look like this from an add-on. Then you have your character, where you can see, I can actually increase my magicka. So, anyway, so you can see your magicka, your health, and your stamina. All of your stats again, a title if you want it, and then any active effects that you have on your character. Then you have your skills, where you can go through, and each class has 3 skill lines. Okay, so I'm playing a Nightblade, so I have Assassination, Shadow, and Siphoning. And you can get skill points to put into these skills and level up these skills. And you can also gain them through Sky Shards, which are spread out around the map of Elder Scrolls. And if you collect 3 Sky Shards, you get a skill point, which you can then, put in any of this. Next, you have your journal, which is like your quest log. Pretty simple. It tells you the level of the quest, and you can look on the map where it is. These are your collections, so anything you've collected, costumes, pets, upgrades to the game, mounts, you name it, it all comes up here. You have your map, which can also be accessed by pressing M. You have your group finder, so you can find groups for Cyrodiil PvP, Imperial City PvP, or farming, dungeons and veteran dungeons. You have your friends lists. You have your guild, and you can be in up to 5 guilds. You have your Alliance War, the score sheet for the Alliance War, and overviews to see who's currently in contention for Emperor. You have your bonuses and your scoring, and then campaigns. you have your mail, notifications, and help. Now, if we get out of this, you can see that my chat is on the left. You have a bar that represents your health, your stamina, and your magicka. You have an ability bar. You have your compass at the top, as well as, you can see the enemies or people's health, their name, all that good jazz. Everything else I have on here is through add-ons. So, in order to use add-ons in the Elder Scrolls Online, I think the easiest way to get them is to download a program called Minion. So you download Minion and you install your add-ons through that. It's, if you've ever played World of Warcraft, it's very similar to using the Curse client, but it's better for Elder Scrolls Online. So if we go to our add-on settings, add-on settings, this is where you can adjust all of the settings of your add-ons. So, for example, my add-ons give me this mini-map. It gives me the text over my health, my magicka, and my stamina. It gives me the percentage over my ultimate because I need 150 ultimate in order to use this ability, but I have 162, so I have 108%. It gives me this bar at the top, which gives me a lot of key information. It shows my buffs. It will show debuffs here, buffs here. I can swap between potions really quick over here. So add-ons give you a lot of customizability in the Elder Scrolls Online, so you can get your interface the exact way you want it. So the next thing is attributes. So you have 3 attributes in the Elder Scrolls Online. It is magicka, health, and stamina. Magicka is used to cast your class abilities. So the skill lines of your class, aka, for me I'm a Nightblade, so Shadow, Siphoning, and Assassination. Health is exactly what it sounds like, it's health. And stamina is used to dodge roll. It is used to sprint. And it is used to do weapon abilities. So you're probably wondering, why do you have 21 points in magicka and you've put nothing in anything else? Well, it is because if you look at my bars, these are all magicka, 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 1 stamina ability, magicka. Oh, this is ultimate. But I choose to play a magicka styled Nightblade. It's what I want to run. If I was going to run a lot more, just mainly weapon abilities with maybe 1 or 2 class abilities, then I would run all stamina. You can put points into health here or there, but for when you're leveling up and so you first start playing ESO, you don't really need to concern yourself with attributes because you can always respec them at the end of the game and change them up if you think like, oh my god, I messed up. So don't worry about it, and you get an attribute point every time you level up. So you can put, a point in a magicka, a point in health, a point in stamina, and you get 1 per level. So ESO has this really cool feature called weapon swapping. A lot of games actually have this now, though, where you can wield 2 different weapons at the same time and have an ability bar that corresponds to wielding that weapon. So for here, this is my restoration staff, and I can swap to my mace and my shield. So I could be in combat fighting someone or whatever, having a grand old time, and then in the middle of combat, if I want to switch to range, boom, swap to my staff, and now I have range. So it gives you 2 separate bars to play with, and you can completely customize your playstyle and how you want to attack your enemies, and you can choose whatever loadout you want. So the next thing I want to talk to you guys about is your skills. So every class has 3 skill lines. So I'm a Nightblade, so I have Assassination, Shadow, and Siphoning. And then each weapon has its own set of actives and passives. Same thing with the armor. You have this, which is like stealing and like sneaking and stuff. It has to deal with the justice system, which I'll go into later. Then it has soul magic, which involves trapping souls to store in soul gems. The soul gems will correspond to the level of the soul. And I'm a vampire on this character, so I have a vampire skill line. Then there's skill lines for each of the guilds that you can join, the joinable guilds in the game. Then there's your Alliance War, aka PvP, your race, and crafting. So basically, you level skills up by having them on your bar. So for example here, if we look at my bar here, I have Defensive Posture, which is a one-hand and shield ability. And I also have Lotus Fan, I have Dark Cloak, I have Concealed Weapon, and I don't have a siphoning ability on this bar. Actually, yes, I do Soul Tether. So, by having an ability from each tree on your bar, when you go about the world and you kill stuff, it will level up that tree, so that skill line. So, I don't even have to use the ability at all. So let's say, for example, I want to level up my two-handed, right? All I would have to do is put Cleave on my bar. I don't even have to use a two-handed weapon, and I will level up my two-handed skill. So you just have to have it on your bar when you kill stuff. But if you're wondering, well, Dottz Gaming, look at this, dual wield, you don't have any of the skills unlocked. Well, in this case, you need to use a dual wield weapon, and you get like a little teeny weeny bit of experience, and it'll instantly go up to level 2, and then boom, I'll get Twin Slashes, and I can just put that on my bar. Now, once your abilities reach level 4, you can morph them into abilities with different effects. You know, it's got the same effect as the original ability, but it has an additional effect on top of it. So like we see here, we have the ability Assassin's Blade, and we can morph it into one of those two. One is, you know, Killer's Blade, which deals with when you kill an enemy, you gain life back, and one is Impale, which gives you a range, you know, on your execute. So each spell has its own morph that you can change it into, which allows you to further customize your character. So the next thing I want to talk about is gear. One of the big things that people ask when they first start playing ESO is, what weapon should I use and what gear should I wear? Well, I'm going to say it depends on what you want to do. You can wear whatever gear you want, really, but you need to keep in mind that certain gear is more tailored towards certain things. For example, light armor, if we look at the passives, reduces your magic cost of spells, increases your magic recovery. This increases your spell resistance. This increases your spell critical, while medium armor increases your critical chance on physical attacks, increases stamina recovery, reduces the cost of sneaking, increases weapon damage, and then heavy armor increases your armor, increases your health recovery, increases max health. So as you can see, your armor corresponds to what you want to do. So if you're a magic user, you're going to want to use mostly magic armor. Mostly light armor. If you want to be a tank, you're going to want to use mostly heavy armor. If you are a stealthy weapon-based character, you're going to want to use medium armor. Now, what I recommend, though, when you're first leveling up, is do not wear 7 pieces of one type of gear. As you can see here, I think it is my belt. Yeah, I have one piece of medium armor on. It is so that I can level up my medium armor as I go through the game. I don't give a crap about heavy armor. I'm never going to wear it. But if I wanted to level up my heavy armor as well, I would just say maybe wear one piece of heavy armor. But the majority of my gear, I want light armor for my passives and to level it up quicker. But I definitely still recommend at least wearing one piece of each type of gear while you're leveling up, so that you can level it up, you know, you can level everything up quicker. It's kind of the same thing with the skill bars. You want to put one of each type of skill on your skill bar, so that, you know, let's say I want to level up my two-hands, or even though I'm using a one-hand and a shield, I would just, you know, when I have a skill point, I would get Cleave, I'd stick it on my bar, and even though I'd never use it, it's on my bar, I'm killing stuff with it, so I'm gaining experience in that skill line. So it's a way to level things up a lot quicker. But another point to talk about, weapons. So your weapons also have an impact on what you want to do. Again, passives. So, you know, for example, I have a Resto Staff, right? Because I want access to, eventually, to get the Steadfast Ward and the passives. Increases your healing by 8% on allies and yourself under 30%. So you use weapons based on the weapon abilities that you would like, as well as their passives. But you can really use any abilities you want. If you want to use dual wield and bow, use dual wield and bow. I like to use one-handed shield and resto staff for leveling. At endgame, I plan on using either destruction staff and resto staff or dual wield and resto staff. You know, I want a mix of that utility and damage, which is definitely what I recommend going for when you level. Try to find a mixture between utility and damage. Or try to find a mix between range and melee. Or just do all range. You know, it's completely up to you. It's completely customizable to what you want and what your goals are. The next thing I want to talk about is joinable factions. So currently in ESO, there are only 3 joinable factions, although by the end of 2016, there will be 5. So currently right now, we have our Mages Guild, our Fighters Guild, and in any inn, you can find the Undaunted, which is a 3rd guild. Now, depending on when I release this video, the Thieves Guild may or may not be out. So if it's out, then there's 4 guilds in the game. If it's not, there's 3. And by the end of 2016, we will also see the Dark Brotherhood. So by the end of 2016, there will be 5 guilds in the game that you can join and that have their own skill lines and passives and quests. So the next point I want to talk about is guilds. Guilds in ESO are not faction specific. It's completely cross-faction. And you can be in up to 5 guilds at once. Right now, I'm only in 1, but I can be in up to 5. And your guild also has a guild trader, which is like kind of like an auction house that's open to the public. That people can come to your guild trader and they can buy stuff, but they can't sell stuff. They can buy stuff. The only way that you can sell stuff through your guild is by going to a banker and your guild store, and you can put stuff up for sale on your guild store, which either your guildies can buy from. So like if I also wanted to buy things here, I could buy things here as well. But the only way to sell stuff is to go through your guild store. So, unfortunately, there is no global auction house in ESO, so I recommend getting in a relatively big guild for one of your guilds so that you have an avenue to sell your goods. So my next point is mount training. So, you come to any stable. Right? We'll talk to this chick. Talk. Blah, blah, blah. View stable. So I can choose here for 250 gold. What part of my horse to want to level? Its carrying capacity, its stamina, and its speed. I recommend level up the speed entirely first, and then move on to other things. The speed is the most important. So, 20 hours. You could also buy a horse if you would like. I mean, I already have a horse because I bought the Imperial Edition of the game, so I don't need to. So, a big part of this game is crafting. So you have 6 different lines. You have alchemy, blacksmithing, clothing, enchanting, provisioning, and woodworking. So basically, let me run to the anvil real quick. So you'd walk up to the blacksmithing station and you hit E to use. Now you have a choice. You can refine ingredients. So I have raw ingredients here, and if I have 10 of them, I can refine them into the corresponding bars. I also can create items. Again, I can choose, right now iron ignates or steel ignates, and then choose what I want to create, apparel, and then now style material. So you need a style material based on whatever race you are. So I am a high elf, aka an Altmer. So by default, I will use adamantite, which crafts things in the high elf look. But you can get these things called motifs, which allow you to create armor of the other race's style. So, for example, I bought the Breton motif because I'm a huge fan of the way that the Breton hoods look because they have a mask over their face. So, I'm not wearing one now, but I can make one if I so want to. So, you can choose up here if you want to do apparel or weapons. Then you can deconstruct things. So, I'll show you how it works. So, for example, I have the steel battle axe that I want to deconstruct. So, I double-click it. It goes here. I deconstruct it, and it gives me back some raw materials. Then I can improve stuff, so I can improve things from fine to superior, normal to fine, superior to epic, epic to legendary. And you have to have a certain number of like things, so like these symbols in between each level, because for every one of those you put, you get a chance for it to upgrade. So like, for example, if I was trying to upgrade this Blood Shark's Cutlass, and let's say I only had one of, I forget what the name of this is, I only have one of them, my chance to upgrade is only going to be like 10 or 20%. There's a possibility that you'll just lose the item. So I would wait until you have a really high chance of improving the item before you even try that. The next thing, and this is a big one, research. My voice just cracked. Nice. Research. So right here you see there's an enchantment and then there's a trait. So impenetrable increases my critical resistance by 160. So what I would do is I go to the blacksmithing station. I would, let's say I want to research something for a sword, right? Let's say I want to research this weighted. Double click this. Here's my item. Researching an item will destroy it. This process will take 6 hours, and in that process you learn how to create a weighted sword. So you hit research trait, and thanks to my add-on up here, you see 6 hours. In 6 hours I will have that trait researched. And then you can do the same thing for apparel, and this goes for, you know, woodworking, blacksmithing obviously, and clothing. So the next thing is certifications. So there are these things called writs which you can do, which are basically like daily quests where you just have to craft certain things. So like for my alchemist writ, I need to create a sip of health and acquire 3 blessed thistle, and then I'll drop that off somewhere, and boom, I'll get experience and what's called inspiration points, which is like basically the experience bar for your crafting stuff. Now there are special sets in the Elder Scrolls Online that have 2, 3, 4, and 5 piece set bonuses, and these have to be crafted at specific forges that are spread out throughout Tamriel. So the easiest thing would be to look up where the forge is for your faction, or there's a lot of times a neutral location, and you go there, you craft the gear, and it has these effects, but you need to know a certain number of traits for each item that you want to craft, which can be done by researching, as was stated in the crafting section. So the next thing is key binding. So you have apparently, you know, 4 sets of binds that you can do for one thing. So you can come in here and basically put key binds. It's exactly what it sounds like on anything you want: movement, combat, targeting, camera, interaction, your UI, and then any add-ons, you know, for stuff. And you can put shortcuts here as well. So you just come in here and you can customize all your binds. So one of the Elder Scrolls patches covered this thing called the Justice System. So currently though, in my settings, I have it so that I cannot attack innocent people, because if I so wanted to, I could walk up to this Eagle's Talon guy and just attack him. See, it prevents me from attacking. So I could kill any NPC in the game, I could steal anything I want, and if I get caught, I get a bounty, and if I accrue enough bounty, I can become attack on sight, where the guards will just literally attack me as soon as they see me. Also, in addition, if you have a low bounty, though, they'll just try to stop you. You know, halt, criminal scum, you violated the law. So they will try to detain you, and you'll have to pay a bounty and turn in all your stolen goods, or, you know, you resist arrest and they kill you. Now, one way to clear your bounty is by coming to the Outlaw's Refuge. So we go into the Outlaw's Refuge. This is in pretty much every major city. So you come to this guy. It's a fence, and if I had a bounty, it would say right here, you know, pay off my bounty. And then if you pay off your bounty to this guy and not to a guard, you can keep all of your stolen goods. And merchants in ESO will not accept stolen goods, but fences will. So you can sell your stolen goods to the fence, or if you want to keep it to yourself, you can launder it. And for, I think it's like 2 gold a piece, you can be like, hey, I want to actually keep this for myself. And he will like take the fact that it is stolen away from the item, so you can keep it for yourself. Now the next thing I want to talk about is armor dyes. So the cool thing about ESO is you can dye your armor different colors. It gives you more personalization, and you can help customize what you want your gear to look like. So you start out with like certain dye colors. Most of them are of course crap, but throughout playing the game and getting achievements and unlocking stuff, you can get more colors. So like, for example, when I became a vampire, I got the Noxophiliac Black, and I dyed literally all of my armor black. Eventually, once I unlock a really cool red, I'm going to, accent the black with some red. But you can always search on Google how to unlock certain dye types if you really want to unlock certain colors quickly. Otherwise, just play through the game, and you will get dye as you go along, and then you come to a dye station like this, and you can dye your gear. Now the next thing I want to talk about is Wayshrines. So, you can use these things called Wayshrines that are used to fast travel. So you can travel from Wayshrine to Wayshrine for free. If you come to this Wayshrine, and let's say I want to use the Volkelgard Wayshrine, and I want to travel to, to Eldenroot, I just left click, boom, I travel there for free. You travel for free from Wayshrine to Wayshrine. But if you would like, and let's say you're like in like some cave somewhere and you don't want to run out of the cave and to walk all the way to where your Wayshrine is, what you can do is, for a modest fee, go to your map. Let's say I want to go up here. I can recall there for 94 gold. Now, back-to-back recalls without using a Wayshrine will cost more and more gold each time, which decreases over time. So keep that in mind during your fast traveling. So the next thing I would like to talk about is PvP. Although there are plans for battlegrounds and for arenas, currently in the game there's only Alliance Wars, which is large-scale PvP. So the way that the Alliance Wars work is there are, as you know now, there are 3 factions in the game. And Aldemary Dominion is yellow, Daggerfall Covenant is blue, and the Ebonheart Pact is red. So the way the PvP works is everybody starts at their home base. They go, and so let's say you get in a group and you guys start at Castle Fairgill, or however the hell you pronounce that. You can march to Castle Robeck, and you guys can siege the castle and then take it, capture it, and boom, now it's under your control. And you could fast travel within Cyrodiil. So if you come to, let's say, Castle Blackboot, you can travel straight to Fairgill or to the Western Elsewhere Gate, because they need to be connected by these lines. If there's no highlighted yellow line for me, I can't fast travel from keep to keep. So, more about this though. This just shows scorings, how many keeps they held, how many outposts they hold, resources and Elder Scrolls, and then the number of points. Bonuses based off of number of keeps held and all this good stuff. Emperorship, the person who has the most number of points, alliance points, which is gained for killing people, taking keeps, doing, good shit, they become emperor, and they get certain bonuses, and they get the emperor title, and that is really cool. But campaigns, this is one of the big things you need to know. So if you're a non-veteran ranked character, aka if you're just like, level like 28, you go to the non-veteran campaign and you make it your home campaign. So it was the home campaign is the campaign that you will get rewards from, and whether or not you can contest Emperor is determined by your home campaign. If you would like to visit another campaign though, you can queue for it as a guest and just go in there and PvP and have a grand old time. But you will not get any rewards for it. So right now, obviously, because I'm only level 22 at the time that this video is being filmed, my home campaign is Blackwater Blade. Now, in Blackwater Blade, everybody gets scaled to the same rank and has the same bonuses for the most part. It's pretty even. Obviously, people who are level 49 though are going to have more of an advantage than someone who's level 10, which is when you can start PvPing. And then there's all of these veteran campaigns where you can just choose them. And they will run, so for this one it'll run for 30 days. And at the end of the 30 days is when Emperor's handed out and all that type of stuff. So currently in the Elder Scrolls Online, there are 50 levels. That is the max level cap. And depending on when this video is released, I don't know when I'm going to upload it, there may or may not be these things called veteran ranks in the game. If they're not there, then don't even worry about this part. You can just skip over it. But if there are veteran ranks in the game, it's basically it's like a weird leveling system past level 50. So once you hit level 50, you technically become veteran rank 1, and then you rank all the way up to veteran rank 16. And through that process, you gain these things called champion points, which I will go over later in the video. So the next thing I want to talk about is becoming either a vampire or a werewolf. So in Elder Scrolls, you have a choice. You can be one of 3 things. You can just be a regular, average human, Joe, dude, whatever. You can be a vampire, which is what I am, or you can be a werewolf. So the process for vampire and werewolf is very similar, so I'm just going to go over vampire because it's the one I went through. So what you do is... why did I just summon my horse? So here if we go to blah 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 blah, vampire. I think it's a blood ritual. Yeah. Allows you to infect another player with Noxophilic Sanguivoria once every 7 days by returning to the vampire ritual site. So basically that's code for other players can give you vampire bites. So if you have a guy in your guild who's be like, hey bro, I need you to bite me and make me a vampire, you have to go to a shrine for being a vampire. So you come to your vampire altar, which is right here, for the Ultimate Dominion. They bite you there. You get a quest, you complete the quest, and hell yeah, you're a vampire. Now, for vampires, there is 4 stages of vampirism. There are certain drawbacks. My health regenerates 75% slower. I take 25% more damage from fire. But my vampirism abilities cost 21% less. I can also feed on people. But in return, I get some pretty sick-ass passives once I eventually get the skill points and level this up to unlock them. Now, it's a very, very similar process for becoming a werewolf. You can have somebody bite you, you go to the shrine, you get a quest, and then you get the skill line. So, for me, I like vampire for sneaky builds, and werewolf is very good for stamina-based builds. So, once again, being a werewolf or a vampire is completely up to you. It's dependent on what you want to do, and keep in mind, though, there are certain abilities though that work better against vampires and werewolves from the Fighters Guild skill line. So you need to just keep that in mind when you're creating your guy and what role you want to be. So once you hit level 50 or veteran rank 1, you start earning these things called champion points. So a certain number of experience points will grant you champion points as opposed to skill points. You can still get skill points if you get sky shards, but champion points are gained through gaining experience at level 50, aka VR1 through VR16. And if veteran ranks are no longer in the game, it's just, once you head to level 50. And these champion points can be put into various trees, which will allow you to have various passive abilities, gain bonuses, things like that. So, the more champion points you get, the more powerful your character is. The next thing I want to talk about is resetting your points. So let's say we get to endgame, we're level 50, and we don't like our leveling build anymore, and we want to use a specific build for either PvE or PvP. You can come to these shrines, there's 3 of them, and you can reset your stuff. So we come to the Shrine of Oriel, we pray, and we go, yo bro, I want to reset my my attributes. So I make a modest donation of 1,000 gold, and I reset all of my attributes. Then if I want to come to the Shrine of Stendarr, pray, be like, yo Stendarr, I want to, for a generous contribution in his name, the God of Mercy, Charity, and Justice will grant you power to revisit your choices regarding skills. So, you can take out just your morphs for 350 gold, or you can take off everything for 2,200. And then, if we come to the Shrine of Mara, you can use the Shrine of Mara to marry someone and get a 10% experience gain. So this isn't really part of the rededication stuff, but you know, it deals with shrines. So utilizing the group finder in Elder Scrolls, or by just, you know, looking in your zone chat, you can access dungeons, which are 4-player instances that you can enter in with your group. They can be done at veteran rank or at non-veteran rank, and you can queue up as a healer, a DPS, a tank, or 2 or 3, whichever combination you want, and the group finder will group you up, teleport you to the dungeon, or as I said, you can group up through the zone chat and go with your team to the dungeon and complete the dungeon. So guys, thank you for watching my tutorial on ESO. I hope this guide helped you out. I am not by any means an expert or good at this game. I'm still considering myself very much a noob, but I'm learning as I go along. The game is a lot of fun, and honestly, if you're like me and you're bored as hell from WoW, I would definitely recommend trying the Elder Scrolls Online. So I figured, because there was no beginner guide or beginner playlist that I could find online that had everything that I wanted to know that really would have helped when I started the game in one spot, I figured, hey, let me frickin' create that resource so that other people can benefit from it. If I was a little wishy-washy on some things with explaining it and I didn't really do a super good job, please comment below and I will really do my best to help you out. Like I said, I'm still not extremely proficient at the game, but I believe that I know enough now from playing a lot within the past month that I could help people who are brand new to the game. They're just starting out and they don't know what direction to go in. Honestly, guys, the main thing is take your time with ESO. The game's a lot of fun. It's got a lot of good quests. So take your time, have fun, and enjoy the game. So I'm Dottz Gaming. I'll see you guys at Endgame. Stay frosty and have a good day.
Wake up, it's another day to raise up my odds. Of course I'm on my way up, and with great fans it gets easier to stay up, and great fans coming easier than layups.